Happy Wednesday, boys and girls, and welcome to the backyard. I couldn't get anybody to come have a conversation with me, so I'm going to interview myself, something I'm good at. No, seriously, yesterday I did videos for Facebook and here, shorts, about Ozzy and Black Sabbath and my feelings on the music and how it influenced other bands. And I did two different videos. Well, it did real good on YouTube and Facebook. I mean, good for me. I'm just 2 months into this experiment. But what I want to talk about today, boys and girls, and my disclaimers, aside from you're going to see me smoking cigarettes and drinking on this, but they apparently you have to say that in movies now. If it's an old movie when they did that kind of thing. I'm quitting again. I was supposed to Monday, maybe tomorrow. I've quit a bunch of times, boys and girls. It's just this one time it's going to take. I had one going for 2.5 months, and I blew it up at a Leonard Skinner ZZ Top show because of all the beer. But in any event, I want to cover the music from my generation, my high school days. I'm a class of 87, started in the fall of 83, and my wife calls me a music nerd, but I've got a really good memory for dates and when music came out. I may do a series. Oh, I thought I picked all the beer cans up. Well, that's what happens when you're blind trying to find your beer cans. The dog just hit one. I want to start out with 1983. That's when I had a coming of age. I started high school listening to Zapp and The Time, Prince, and of course everybody was still playing Thriller. I think Thriller hit in late 82, but it blew up in 83 and was still charting songs in 84, if I remember right. And I usually do, boys and girls. I may get confused occasionally on these dates, but I don't research it. I mean, I can't. I got no way, although I do ask Alexa questions about things, and that's pretty cool. But so I went from Zapp, all that stuff in ninth grade to when I come home in 84 for summer break, I was listening to Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, and all the music. And then I started taking guitar lessons that summer. I've been playing for 41 years. I'm about to learn a song or two, maybe. I can't play them for y'all because copyrights. But in any event, in 83, records I remember, I've got a lot of them, and my friends also have them. A couple of the good ones, and I had a cassette that somebody made me. Side A or one had Def Leppard's Pyromania. The second side had ZZ Top's Eliminator. Both 83, but rode well into 84. Def Leppard had done two records before this, High and Dry and On Through the Night. They had one hit. It said something about Gypsy sitting. I think it's called Bringing on a Heartache. Ellie Mae, I'm busy. She shouldn't interrupt me when I'm pontificating. Bringing on a Heartache, a Heartbreak. Yeah. But before that, they had really not had any what you'd call commercial radio success, which of course meant people bought the cassette, the 45 of a single, the album on vinyl, and that was it. You heard it on the radio, and if you liked it, you bought it, or you took a chance and bought a record and my buddy Robbie did this a lot, and I'm glad he did. Whitesnake slided in. We'll mention that here in a little bit. But he'd buy records, and we didn't know what they were going to sound like, and read magazines about them. It's funny how you actually had to work before the internet. We had our favorite record stores. There were two at each mall, and we had one that would open till 10. In fact, it's still around. I got a bunch of records used for $1.99 or $1 there called Horizon, and it's in Greenville, South Carolina. So a really good Saturday night or Friday night, we hit all three malls in Greenville before 9 and hit the record store till 10. And then maybe hit a Dunkin' Donuts or Taco Bell. But I'm digressing. Pyromania. Of course, it had what I think was the first hit from that record. I was in 8th grade. I believe it was, what's the name? Photograph. I couldn't think of the name. I want to touch you. But, that song, Photograph. And then, I need to get a drink of this beer. Excuse me, fellas. Then, of course, Rock of Ages. On top of that made up words that I used to think it was foreign talk, but it was just made up gibberish to start that big hit with. Now, I'm not sure if they cracked the top 10 on that. Casey Kasem wasn't on the radio in my area by that time, so I didn't get to hear him. And I do know they hit, after that guy broke his arm and they come back in late 87, the Hey Millie, no, their record, Hysteria, did hit them a number one hit. I can't remember if it was Love Bites or if it was the other one, the other huge hit on that record, but it was one of them. Pour some sugar on me. It's easier to say. It might be easier to do it than to say it. Okay, I'm sorry. I've bumped around. Let's go back 4 years before the drummer broke his arm and the band waited for him to get set up. Pyromania. Now, I had a cassette that had the ZZ Top Eliminator on the other side. ZZ Top were great. Jimi Hendrix talked about an up-and-coming Billy Gibbons before he died. I think he died in 70 or 71. So ZZ Top had been around, had some good songs, had some good albums like Tres Hombres. But Eliminator, MTV, brought a whole new thing to music. Not for me, of course, but to most of you, all of y'all out there. August 1st, 1981, when they hit the airwaves, it's my buddy's birthday, Robert. Y'all met him in Atlanta. But anyway, ZZ Top got something going that couldn't miss. Great hot cars and good-looking hot girls, women, chicks, whatever. I'm not very politically correct. I just try to show respect to everybody. But anyway, from what I've been told, good-looking girls and hot cars, and you had the first song on the record, which I've got both these records on vinyl now, Pyromania and Eliminator, Give Me All Your Lovin'. Big old rock and roll jam for them. Then, let's see, the second song. What is the second song? Okay, the third song on the record is Sharp Dressed Man. But I think the second song was out too. It may have been just a minor. I'm sorry, boys and girls. Like, it's not, the title's not coming to me. But you had Give Me All Your Love and Sharp Dressed Man, the third cut. The first track on side 2, I do remember, was Legs, which was also apparently another video with pretty girls and maybe the cars. I'm not sure because obviously I couldn't see it. But they even had a minor success with TV Dinners on side 2. It's driving me nuts. I can't remember what that song is, that second song on that record, and I've played that record 1,000 times. But anyway, Give Me All Your Love and Sharp Dressed Man, TV Dinners, they were rocking and rolling. This is still in 1983. Now, another record, this ain't heavy metal or hard rock, and that's what we called ourselves in high school. I've got 3 of my 4 yearbooks have a Headbangers Only page, and there were some girls, mainly guys, had long mullets, a lot longer than mine is. Mine was a lot longer back then. Earrings, a lot of us had them. I had one. My mom pierced mine to save money at the mall because she'd done my grandma's. Well, my grandma wasn't too happy about that she done mine. But Sports by Huey Lewis. Huey Lewis had an earlier record in around 82, I believe it was, because I was in 7th grade, called Picture This, I believe was the record title. And the song, Do You Believe in Love? Y'all may have heard it. Probably have if you know your music from the 80s. But Sports just blew up. Now, I can't remember the order. I think Harder Rock and Roll was the first song on the record. You had I Want a New Drug. You had, what else? Dun, 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 6 o'clock. You know that one. I can't think of the title right now, but, and then you had, If This Is It. I mean, that record blew up. I think out of 10 songs on that record, I think he had 5 radio top 40s. And it wasn't heavy metal, hard rock, but it was good enough to where me and a lot of my buddies listened to it. Maybe not all the time, but I liked it. I had the record. Robbie bought it and made a copy of it for me. Now, technically, boys and girls, 1984 hit in late December of 83. That's, of course, Van Halen's Blow Up record as far as the radio. Van Halen had been on radio earlier, 82. You had minor hits with cover songs like Pretty Woman, the cover of Roy Orbison, of course, and Dancing in the Streets, which was a cover of one of the girl groups. I can't remember which one in the 60s did it. Anyway, that's a Diver Down record. If you hadn't read Alex Van Halen's book, Brothers, I highly recommend it. He talks about that record, how they were pushed to do it. Most of the record is cover songs, including Where Have All the Good Times Gone? It wasn't a radio hit. I don't remember it being on radio ever, but it's a Kinks song. Basically, Pretty Woman, Dancing in the Streets, Eddie Van Halen just took those 60s classics, especially Pretty Woman, a classic, and made them hard rock, Eddie Van Halen, and we all wanted to play like Eddie. I mean, all of us. If you had a guitar, if you could get a guitar, you wanted to play like that. Of course, very few of us did. A couple of guys a guy at jail, man, I went to named Perry Bell. He unfortunately lost his life in a motocross wreck last year, the year before. He could do this stuff. I mean, he was good. But so you had 1984 Jump. Hey Annie, it wasn't number one for the year, but it was in the top 10. It was number one on the chart. I didn't think a band like Van Halen would ever sniff a number one. And that's how blind people like cigarettes. You just hope for the best. But it did. All right, of course, the song starts out with 84, the keyboard thing. A lot of people got on Eddie for playing the keyboards, and even David Lee Roth eventually left. Not just because he was pompous and arrogant, which I think he was. I'm sure he was. But he thought they were too commercial. I guess he didn't like making all that damn money. I mean, come on, man. Funny story, Robbie and David, who you'll meet later, invited me to the 1984 concert in Charlotte, 90 miles from here. Boys and girls, they were seniors. I was a freshman. I didn't go because I had homework for that night. Now, I don't like to admit this, but I missed the 1984 tour because I had schoolwork, and I don't even remember what the heck the schoolwork was. Because why would you care? But anyway, so on that record, you've got 1984 Jump, Panama. There's the 3 hits for side 1. Well, 2 hits. Hey, Ellie Mae. Side 2, if I remember right, and normally I do, boys and girls. If I tell you a date or a record, if I'm wrong, y'all email me because I don't miss this stuff much. I'm a music nerd. But side 2 started out with that killer drums with Alex and Hot for Teacher. And then you had, of course, I'll Wait was the second track on side 2. The rest of the record was, but for Van Halen to have 4 songs on the radio, I mean, we're talking Eddie Van Halen of Eruption and Ice Cream Man on the radio and getting it done. So that's one of the biggest records of 83, 84. But wait, there's more. Y'all may know that 84 was called the year of heavy metal. There was a radio show called Metal Shop that come on late on Sundays we used to all listen to. I think almost positive it was a nationwide, so some of y'all may have heard it in other places. But anyway, of course you had the Headbangers Ball on MTV, which didn't mean nothing to me, but because it's videos. But 1984, all right, you had Night Rangers, Midnight Madness. Now they had a little success with a record called Dawn Patrol previously, and the song Don't Tell Me You Love Me. But this Midnight Madness hit big. I mean, you had, and here again, it's heavy metal meets top rock and roll meets top 40, and it all works out. Still Rockin' America, first song on side 1. Last song on side 1, if I remember right, was Sister Christian. Probably the best song they ever did. All right, you had side 2, When You Close Your Eyes, I believe was the name of it. Do You Still Dream About Me? Those were the words, but if I remember right. But anyway, a great record. And now I'm going to, okay, you had the Scorpions, and I've got the vinyl copy of that, just like I did the Night Ranger from Robbie. When he sold records to get CDs, I was here to grab his records. Actually, he gave me a bunch of them just to get them out of his way. The Scorpions, Love at First Sting. I've got the original record cover. The boys and girls, I don't know what's on that cover. I think it shows a woman's leg, a good bit of her leg. They banned it then. It probably wouldn't mean nothing now. Do records still have picture covers for what CDs they print? Somebody let me know about that. Do they still put the pictures of the band or pictures of things on the cover of the record like they did in our day, on the cassette with a flip out? And a lot of them had the song lyrics. But Rock You Like a Hurricane, second song, side 1. That we all learned down on guitar, 4-bar chords, it was easy to do. And then the end song on the record on side 2 was a ballad. The term power ballad hadn't come out yet, but that's exactly what it was, called Still Loving You. And I learned that on the guitar a couple years later when I got better. Those fancy, funky chords they use on it before it hits the hard rocking part. But another great album. I mean, there were so many. Okay, Motley Crue. They had done okay with a record called Too Fast for Love, their debut record. No radio hits. There were a couple. It's a great album to go back. It's real raw sounding. Sort of like Led Zeppelin 2, like they just sat in studio and jammed. I'm sure they didn't on this record. Zeppelin 2 may have. No, they were laying tracks. All that stuff they were doing, they had to lay tracks. But anyway, now where was I? I'm only on my first beer. Oh, the Scorpions. That song was a great song, man. So you just had so many Okay, Ozzy. We talked about him in depth. Well, not depth, in a short yesterday. I had a lot more to say, but didn't have the time to say it. He lost Randy Rhoads, obviously a stupid, idiotic accident. Randy didn't drink beer, do drugs. He smoked cigarettes like I'm doing. I highly recommend none of y'all do this. I'm fixing to go through the pains of quitting and dip in Copenhagen Snuff, my go-to since ninth grade. But Bark at the Moon came out. Now, was that Jake E. Lee? That was pre-Zach Wild. I think Jake. Don't quote me on this one because I can't check it, obviously, but I think I'm right. But anyway, he went through a guitarist with every record. It was kind of a running joke. He lost Randy. He don't think nobody's as good as Randy. And these guys were really good. But Bark at the Moon, it's a minor radio hit, I think, top 40, but the rock and roll stations were playing it. You know, you had your top 40, and then they didn't really call it classic rock at that time because it hadn't been around but since like 1967 with Hendrix and, stuff like that hit that year. The Doors, although they're a whole different style. I won't get into them keyboards. I'm not a huge fan of Morrison and the Doors. I mean, they did some good stuff, but I want my guitar, and I want it good. But that Ozzy record was pretty cool, man. Bark at the Moon. You had, let's see, we've covered the Scorpions record, Night Ranger. Now, there was a record that wasn't heavy metal, but I really liked it. The Cars, Heartbeat City. It could have come out late 83, but I remember the radio hit starting in 84. First song on the record is Hello Again. I think the first record release was You Might Think. I believe that was the first song on side 2 of the record in the cassette. I'm not 100% on that, but it seems like that's where it was. But it had Drive, a classic. Can't call it a power ballad because they're not a hard rock band, in my opinion. But Drive, Who's Gonna Drive You Home? That's a great song. Still is. So you had another record. And then, of course, on the not so hard rock side, you had records that hit that year. Weird Al had done a little bit, but his record that started out with Eat It, come out in 83. Cyndi Lauper, She's So Unusual. We didn't know who she was. My headbanger friends didn't like her, but I liked her music. Well, I like one song, Time After Time. Her silly, goofy stuff, I guess it's fun now because it's old, but and True Colors was okay. But I thought Time After Time was the best thing she did. But 83 and 84, I mean, we had some good music. And I'm sure I'm leaving out some records that I should mention. I think my favorite albums from them were Sports, 1984, of course, because that was the 6th Van Halen record. I'd already collected the first 5. I was in the process of doing so. And Sports, Huey Lewis, not hard rock. Probably may have outsold any of these records, with possibly the exception of 1984. Any record I've mentioned. Now, I'm going to do a series of this because I can't get out of 84, and we've got what we got coming up. Late 84. Twisted Sister. They've had 2 records. One was called Under the Blade. They had a minor song with You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, was features on a K-Tel's Masters of Metal record. Y'all remember K-Tel, right? I miss K-Tel. You don't need it no more, but I still miss it. But anyway, Twisted Sister Stay Hungry hit. My man Robbie bought it. Whitesnake Slide It In hit. My man Robbie bought it. Robbie was older than me, and he had a job. And if he bought the cassettes or the records, he would make copies for me to play on my, you either had your jam box to tote out in the neighborhood or your car stereo. Well, Robbie always kept a good car stereo, which was great because I didn't have a car or a stereo to put in the car I didn't have. But we're going to cover that. We're going to cover Bon Jovi. They're, what was it, 70-something 100 degrees Fahrenheit, 78. Maybe they minor hit In Out of Love. But the third record, 86, you've got Slippery When Wet. That made them mainstream, and they were popular with the metalheads, and then they were popular with the girls because they thought he was good looking, I guess. And the music was good. I mean, you're going to be popular with everybody if your music is good. There's not a lot of that. I've got to cover what we thought about when Aerosmith hit Walk This Way with Run DMC, which led up to the Beastie Boys' first record. My senior year, I heard the Beastie Boys for the first time in Metallica's Master of Puppets. My crew didn't know about Metallica, or a lot of us didn't until that record hit. But we'll get into that. Of course, Ozzy's going to have another record. Everybody's going to put out new records. Motley Crue's Theater of Pain, on and on and on. So we've covered 83, 84, and I apologize for some great records I've left out. I'll probably think of 2 or 3 as soon as I hit this, what I think is going to cut this video off. But anyway, I was supposed to time this so I wouldn't go too long. I went from 7:30. I went to 21 minutes. I guess that's not too bad. And as y'all can probably tell, I could keep going on and on. I want to talk about the rock and roll T-shirts we wore in high school, the jean jackets with the patches we put on them, all that crap to go with our mullets and earrings. I mean, we were kind of redneck. A lot of us dipped Copenhagen snuff. We thought we were cool, and when you're 15, 16, if you think you're cool, that's half the battle, whether other people do or not. So I'll be back, I don't know, tomorrow, Friday. I need to study up and think about it. I promise I won't do any homework to make the next video, because I really can't unless I ask Alexa a lot of questions. I'm taking it from up here, so if I get dates wrong, I can almost promise you I won't get them wrong much, because I just got a memory for this stuff. So I hope you're having a good Wednesday. I have neglected this beer tremendously, and I've only had 1 cigarette. I'm supposed to quit again. Is it tomorrow or Monday? Anyway, have a great night, everyone.